As the official healthcare provider of Minnesota United, Allina Health is dedicated to delivering pro-level care for our loons. But the partnership goes much deeper than what happens on the field. From our shared support of youth-focused nonprofits like Roots for the Home Team, to championing programs for adaptive athletes with the MNUFC Power Soccer Team, Allina Health and Minnesota United are committed to providing an altogether better experience for Loons fans. Learn more at allinahealth.org/loons. Welcome back to, this is going to be the best episode of Sound of the Loons podcast brought to you by Allina Health ever. No doubts about that. And it's also our second time we have two interviewees, but this is not your normal Sound of the Loons podcast. We have two Minnesota legends here with us on the program. We have Kevin Friedland and the one, the only Carl Craig. Thank you so much now for coming on the podcast. Yeah, tell the fans a little bit. We'll start with you, Kevin. What exactly you were doing up here in Blaine. How often do you get back up to Blaine?
This is probably my first time since, I don't know, I came up about 7 years ago to kind of see what's going on, since I was gone for 5 years after I retired. And it was great to have some of the old guys come back and the club to kind of bring us through and showcase what's going on here, and excited for the game tomorrow night. And yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I did my research a little bit. I watched a 10-minute, I would say, mini documentary on the career that you had here. First off, I missed the long hair. I mean, I think I don't think I'm the only one who does, but you've seen this club grow quite a bit from when you were here and you were on the pitch as a player coach, pretty much, and then as a coach. Take us through your experiences and just how much it's grown from, I think, as you put it, the 15 fans in the dark clouds at one point to now you show up at Allianz and it's grown into this, this incredible club.
Yeah, it's great. I first came here in 2004. We were the Thunder. And then over the course of the next 10 years that I spent here, went from Thunder to the Stars to Minnesota United. So I kind of saw the transition of all the coaches, all the ownership, and I was just speaking with one of the current players about, we used to play at Central High School when I first got here, and we were, a mile away, not even the next exit down the street from the stadium now, in front of 2,000 people. Yeah. And now there's 20, and it's really great. I bring my kids to games now, and I think just seeing what's happened to Minnesota soccer, I don't think I ever would have imagined that would have happened.
I had Angie on last week, and she said there was no world in which she thought this would be possible. Carl, did you think it would grow to this point?
Well, I think because I came in later, I'd lived in Minnesota a long time, knew of the dark clouds, and from the Thunder days, I couldn't imagine it would be what it is today. Yeah. I joined in 2010, I think it was. Yeah. And we thought we were going somewhere, and then the money disappeared, and then the next year was even less money. The next year was even less money. So to see where it is now based on then, I mean, not in anyone's wildest dreams could you imagine where it would be as it is today.
Yeah, and then do you still come to games, or you still,
I come to games. I don't go to all the games. I've got it on the telly.
Yeah, of course.
So I watch on the telly or go to the games. I'm getting old now,
Nah, you're a young stallion.
I was a bit late, I'm got in my bed by Minnesota at 9 o'clock. Kicking off.
I've heard all the good stories. I played with Christian Ramirez, and it was funny when we did our coaching course. You were one of the instructors of the coaching course, and I remember Christian was saying, "I want to be with Carl. I got to be with Carl. I got to be with Carl." And you've seen a lot of the players that the Brent Coleman's of the world that ended up being in the league. Obviously with Kevin and Christian and Miguel. Take us through to some of the players that you worked with over your time. And this can be spanning that, stuck out for one reason or another, because interestingly enough, Manny told me that I remind him of Kevin, the way we used to play.
I just said that to you. You mustn't have been listening. I said that in the lobby.
Really?
Yes. And now the fact that you're delivering this, and you're not only a top football person, but a jack of all trades. This is this guy as well.
Yeah. The protege.
Absolutely. When I first met you in, was it Fort Lauderdale, Tampa, whatever, a couple of years back, I was like, this lad's like Kevin. And that's positive. Me and him are really tight. So, no, I thought it was wonderful. Players who I remember from my time here who stood out. This guy could play. And he maybe didn't like you saying this, but we talk about just getting out there and doing it and enjoying it.
Yeah, of course.
I think Kevin's a deep thinker, and maybe on the football pitch thought too deeply.
Yeah. Because
sadly, when he retired, and he knew he was free, it was like, letting the bird free, as it were. He was outstanding. Anyone who was at the game, and even pretty modest fella, but when he came off, he knew he was brilliant that night, and everyone in the stadium knew he was brilliant. But that's the thing, so it's like being in this space at times, as as a player, very stressful. So part of the art of being a quality footballer is not just having the ability to be a quality footballer, which you both have, of course. It's then being able to let go, to let that come out and come to fruition. This is what we were just talking to Will Trapp about in lunch here. At times, you just got to let go and be the footballer instead of worrying about what do the crowd think, what is the points on the board. I'm going to be a footballer.
Do you think that's easier? Do you think that was easier back in the day, Kevin, as a footballer now with less social media and less eyes and less attention? But with attention comes responsibility, and that's fun and all. But at the same time, though, do you think that's easier or potentially harder?
It's hard to compare. I think it's just different. I think social media now the trade-offs are just so different. I mean, you're talking about a time, yes, before social media, but also like you didn't have breakfast and lunch and provided for you, and you were barely scrapping by. I mean, there were years there where we were making more money doing camps than we were getting paid to play soccer.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my first year I played MLS in Kansas City, I was a developmental contract. I made $12,000.
My brother was in the same one.
So coming out of college, a full scholarship is worth more than that.
Yeah.
And then when I came up here the following year, got an increase in a monthly pay, obviously, but then the season was 4, 5, 6 months. Mm-hmm. So over the course of time, the season extended, which is great. But now I just think the benefits are so much better. So, yes, there might be more criticism coming through Twitter, Instagram, whatever it is, but the reality is like, you're going to get that anyway. Mm-hmm. We would get it. It's just our base wasn't as big.
Yeah.
So for the, 200 dark clouds that we had, 2011, 12, they were loud. Now it's 2000 or whatever it is, in the Wonderwall. So it's elevated.
Yeah. And Carl, how'd you manage that as a manager with players not making as much money and giving their heart and soul to the team? Was that tough to kind of, ask them when they could be making more money, probably doing a lot of other things?
I think first of all, you're there because you want to be there.
Yeah.
And that's the motivation. And if you don't, it's quite easy to get out because to your point, there's more money to be made elsewhere. Maybe in the club these days, that's maybe not the case for most people. Not playing football, they're probably not going to earn the salary they are right now. But I think to Kevin's point, it's all relative. It's part of, you grow up with more pressure. You come through the ranks with more pressure, or you're in a MLS League One club. You're going to have to learn to deal with that. And if you're on the big stage on Saturday night, then you've earned the right to be there. So you've got those tools, not necessarily as a young and all finely honed, but at the same time, you've got those tools. You can handle that to a degree, and you're only going to get better and more comfortable. But so I don't think that's necessarily a management thing per se. Although, again, from our time, I've studied psychology and et cetera, and practiced little techniques that help the lads control their breathing, emotional state, et cetera. I'm guessing you've got people in there doing that all the time these days to help the young'uns with that. That would be something I would do. Yeah. I remember a little story where I was sitting in the airport before the final. We used to drive in vans when we went away in those days, 3 or 4 vans. So me being a football coach, but also studying psychology because I wanted to be able to help the players more than just the football on the pitch. So I used to do this little technique with them, but it was in my van. Kevin, he would sometimes drive, but there was Big Jeff, Kale, Van Okel. It was weird because what would happen, Manny would drive a van, I would drive a van, I was useless. And Kevin would drive a van because my head was all over the shop. And who did I see? Seen someone the other day. Oh, Connor Tobin. So Tobin would be in the van review. Connor.
I haven't met him yet.
Connor is the one of the main union reps, players representatives for USL.
Oh, nice.
Top lad. And so we used to drive and we'd say, where are we going? And I'd just say, that way. And we get there. And like your cans, I know this has been videoed. So I'd drive down the road and I'd put that on my eyes and like, where we going? And I'd like, just wind them up. But I used to do little psychological tricks with them. And we were on the airport of Fort Lauderdale before the championship game. Yeah. And I think it was Kylie says, I know you're doing something. I'm not sure what it is. He says, yeah, with our brains here, but I'm not really sure what it is you're doing. I said, well, that's all right. Don't worry about it.
Because that was the trophy picture we saw that was showing in my laptop, right? Because
Yes.
you had played in the final against Tampa the one year. And then,
Yeah.
So we were 2011 was Fort Lauderdale.
Yep.
So we got in the playoffs as the 6th seed on the last day of the season, and that's kind of actually what started Wonderwall.
Yeah.
And then so we won the championship in 2011. We beat the Strikers here, and then second leg was there.
Drew 0-0, didn't we?
So yeah, so we won the trophy there, and then the second year, 2012, was in Tampa.
It was against the Rowdies. Yeah, because my buddy Jeff, who was my old teammate in Portland, he was the goalie for Tampa. And I remember,
yes.
I remember.
All right.
Yeah.
We botched that one in penalties.
We wanted to sign him.
Yeah. No, because it's funny, though, because he makes a joke that he played in Minnesota for 25 minutes because he was picked up in the expansion draft from Salt Lake, and then he was immediately traded to Portland with us.
Yeah.
But yeah, so speaking of the final, take us. I want to hear your mindset as a player and coach and stuff. You know, as a coach, are you trying to keep it light, or are you trying to focus, or what's the balance between dialing in tactically, but also not wanting to necessarily make the moment too big for players to handle, if that makes any sense?
For me at the time, I mean, Manny was the boss. For me, I want to de-escalate it. But also, like the what I was describing, didn't give you much detail, but I wanted to let the players know that they had absolute control of how they felt.
Mm-hmm.
So I was giving them little techniques to help them understand that. So it was more to do with, the world's not putting this on you. You can control your own state. And the better you, or the sooner you realize that, and with these techniques, you can actually manage that, then the easier it will be to be where you want to be on the puck. Mm-hmm. That for me is critical. But I can never be you or you. We can never be. So therefore, it's utilizing metaphor to try and paint pictures and describe this. But of course, it's your own experience, as is that on the green grass on Saturday night. Mm-hmm. So that's where I was coming from.
Yeah, and then did you feel that as a player, where you felt this level of personal responsibility and not too much, basically exactly what you said.
I mean, if I think back to 2011, we were just riding high. I mean, this is like, again, getting as a 6th seed on the last day, we were just burning energy. I mean, we were this team of cast-offs and misfits basically at that point. It was when we got to the final, like the way that Carl and I would balance out, because I was a player coach at the time. Yeah. The way we would balance out with Manny, Manny was a head coach, was like trying to help the players on the back end. And obviously, kind of what that looks like now and how you kind of manage players individually and maybe as a group, as the coach is working on these things. And I think that's really kind of where we were. I mean, when we got the result here, we were going in, in a positive, I think we were up 2-0, 3-1. I think 3-1 was a score here. Mm-hmm. So we were going in with a 2-0 advantage, a 2-goal advantage going to Fort Lauderdale. So we knew we just didn't have to. Yeah,
don't mess it up.
Don't mess it up. And yeah, I think from the player's perspective, it was like, is this like really going to happen? And yeah, we pulled it off. It was great.
Do game day like a VIP with Minnesota United premium tickets. From suites to private boxes to the outdoor roof deck experience, Allianz Fields offers a range of luxury seating options that'll make you feel like a pro. Learn more about our special spaces at allianzfield.com. Was that the game where you scored and the guy slid into the fans, or was that
the following year?
That was the following year.
So yeah, so that game. So if you think back to from 2011, 2012, the team, we were league owned.
Yeah.
So there was no owner of the team.
Oh,
so
it's the team that nobody wanted. The team that nobody wanted.
We were, and jokingly after we won the trophy, we're standing there with the commissioner. I'm like, everyone should be happy, or they're pissed because they're all paying for us to go another 2 weeks. Where we got paid for 2 more weeks and won the trophy. So in 2012, we were kind of riding high into the beginning of the season off the championship. So we started the season off pretty well. We had a great run in the Open Cup. We were at the point now, I think we were almost splitting our roster. We had one team was playing the Open Cup games, one team was playing the League Cup games, meaning players, it's 2 sets of players. And when we got to the final 2012, again, we weren't the best team in the league. So we were still just kind of we just kind of knew how to cruise and fly through the playoffs. We brought in a couple players, towards the end of the season to kind of help boost us. And yeah, we probably should have won that 2012. I definitely had the championship back-to-back T-shirts already made.
We were.
Yeah.
We definitely should have won it. I remember, what was it? We were cruising. I'd had it's well documented amongst the old Dark Cloud fans. I was in hospital the night before the final. I'd had literally encephalitis.
Oh no!
Brain was bigger than me head. I think it stretched me head.
And you're telling the players to manage all this.
Seriously, what was mental, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we lost some penalties. We should have.
But we were doing well and won control, and the ball was humped in, and big call court got in the way, and we still had chances to win it, didn't we?
Then?
I think it was 13 or 14.
Okay, after.
Maybe. Yeah, a little bit after. Oh no, sorry, before that. Before that. Yeah, okay. 2008, right. 2009. Sorry, my bad. Because 13 and 14 was when I was playing.
Okay.
And then this was obviously laying the foundation, creating this environment, this fan base that has grown into what it is today. And with Carl, you then took the reins and kind of had the Jebrovskis and Sinisa Peripovic and Christian and Miguel. What was that time like to kind of start this? What is it? The team that nobody wanted to essentially this team that then has new ownership and then suddenly is about to come into MLS. Because when I came back from Norway, we played against you guys in preseason in Portland in 2016. Danny Cruz was on that team. And that team had a bunch of MLS guys like that. Did you?
Well, I think before that, even when Bill bought the team, Dr. Bill bought the team in going into the 2013 season. I mean, that's obviously what kicked things off and changed things. We went to the point of now we can have a budget, we can have a player budget, we can go out, and it was basically he came into Manny and Carl and myself. It's what do we want to get? Who do we need? And at the time it was we had to wait for players to get rejected by other teams, and now it's we went down and made a list, and we brought in Pablo Campos, Etienne Bobara, Aaron Pitchkul, and some top guys that were in the league because we could afford them at that point. And so that that year in 13 is that transition year, the first year where we were Minnesota United. We kind of went through this level where we had the lowest budget to now we can pay players to compete.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a big change. And then that leads into actually a funny Christian story about how he rejected us.
Really?
Actually, yeah.
Oh, now he didn't mention this.
So Christian grew up in Irvine, where I'm from.
Yep.
And so I knew about him for a long time. And his college coach was a friend of mine. And I had Christian set up to come here for a trial. Mm-hmm. And I purposely set him up for the last week of winter trials, knowing that it was going to be the week when there would be a lot of players in town. That was going to be the best week to come in, where it was more competitive. And he went to Charlotte. And he was there the week before, and he called me, and he knows this because I spoke with him recently about it.
We can get him on the phone. We'll get him on FaceTime now if we need to.
He calls me from Charlotte 4 days before he's supposed to come to Minnesota for this trial. He says, "Hey, coach," he's so I was in Charlotte. I did their combine, and they offered me a contract, and I took it. And they were USL 2 at the time, so they were a league below us. Even shorter season format. So I go back and tell these guys, "Oh, I'm pissed." I call his college coach. I'm like, "What? Does he realize what he's going to make the team? We're going to sign him." And sure enough, he had a great season. They made the final. He scored, I think, 4 goals in the final against Orlando or whatever it was. And then we brought him in for trial at the end of the season. So it all worked out great for him. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, but he, I was like, oh man, I like had this all set up. I was ready to go for you. And So.
But you guys were building this momentum, with the financial backing and stuff. You're kind of able to see the light at the end of the tunnel slowly.
Yeah. So then,
well, you knew where it was going. We knew where it was going, but I think the challenge was at the time. I don't know, because we're still building towards it. I don't think we were still putting loads. I mean, we were really struggling until Dr. Bill come in, and the significance of the difference was massive, tangible from the off.
Yeah.
But still at that point, because we still weren't in MLS, we're still trying to manage a budget. And so, to be honest with you, I didn't have a lot to do with building the squad. Manny had moved upstairs at that point and was taking care of that. But we were getting, and I say this with the utmost respect to all the lads who came through the doors, we were looking for good players, and very, very good players came through the doors. But it was, as I look back now, it was guys who couldn't get a game in current MLS teams from the most part. So it was where I started to think about it, well, post, not in the moment. It's like, well, kind of get in an MLS team right now doesn't mean to say they're not good footballers, but are they going to be good enough for us to go get even further? Yeah. And then there was also that sort of, people weren't on 2, 3, 4 year contracts, and most of the guys coming through the door were having a 1 season trial. Mm-hmm. So here you're on trial, and that creates a lot of angst within it as well, So it was a difficult situation. We did all right, we weren't terrible, but because we've seen a lot of teams move up from whatever the league was called, the second division.
NASL.
And just,
was it NASL?
Well, just Portland, Seattle had done it, Vancouver,
Montreal.
Like these are all teams that came from the second division.
Just absolutely
bombed. Went up to MLS. Yeah.
I was part of that. I was on that Montreal, the early Montreal team.
Yeah.
So I understand that.
So it was different, exciting times, some names from all over the world were being bandied about, and it was like, yeah, exciting. But difficult at the same time because of the expectation. But everyone's excited about it. The crowd, the fans were absolutely loving it. And why wouldn't you? Especially like that. I mean, them dark clouds will be as old as me, no, most of them, the original lot. For them, even more special. Yeah. And I know where they sit in the stadium, a bunch of them. So, when we get there tomorrow, hopefully we can give them a little wave.
There you go.
But I'd say for them, there's a couple of them down at Big Bruce McGuire and those fellas.
Well, you mentioned like the I think you came back to the sliding into the boards and the boards coming over. So bring back to that. So that was 2012. And, one of the things, we were at that point where the dark cloud started really 2004. They used to sit behind the opposing bench. It was great. They would talk crap to the players and everything. And there was a meeting at one point when we moved back out here to Blaine, when our games were broadcast on whatever the website was at the time, they would pan over, you'd watch the game, and what was happening was all the stands on the far side were empty. Yeah. So you'd see the game, and if you watched it on TV, you would have thought nobody's there.
No one's there.
And then the Dark Clouds used to sit behind the bench. And so what we did was, not that like we wanted to interfere as a front office, by the way, we were a front office of 5 people, right? We kind of encouraged them like, hey, what if you guys move to the other side? Because as you're watching the game, people are watching the game and then they're looking at the dark clouds. And they're watching the game and they're looking at the dark clouds. But every time they turn, they're not watching the game.
Yeah, of course.
So we worked with them to move them to the other side of the field. And so what started to happen over that 2011, 2012 season was you see them over there and you want to go join. You want to see what's going on, right? They're getting crazy, getting rowdy, whatever it is. And so slowly they're going from 1 section to 2 sections to 3 sections, getting bigger and bigger. So, that goal specifically where the board came down. So that was a 2012 final. It was like a late goal at the end of the first leg. And Martin Nunez scores the goal. They all run over, slide, and Dr. Bill was at that game. And that game, he would have to tell you because I don't know, but I
have him on the pod. Get him on the pod.
I believe that was one of the games that was put us over the edge.
Yeah.
Because he had been to 1, maybe 2 other games before, but just seeing that moment alone, that energy, and then the Wonderwall singing after like that's telling. You've seen the videos, right? So like
it's unique. That's all. It's special.
It is special. I think that's something that, you know, when you know, now I talk to people and like, oh, I used to play, like, yeah, but like, you know, like Wonderwall now, when I'm in the stadium now, like it's amazing. Like it means as much to me as it probably does you, probably more. I mean, Carl too, like I'm hoping, you know, that some of the other guys get to experience that tomorrow for the first time, because it's great. Like,
did you expect it to get to this point? And that's something
well, again, at the time, we didn't know where the club was. You've heard the story about how the evolution of it, the genesis of it, but it was still beyond me trying to be a coach or being a coach. We'd sit in the bus. We just had a win, and we would just crank it up.
Yeah,
you know, and that was it. So it was from being a tool to help the lads move forward. It just became our anthem. So at the end of the game, Manny'd get on the bus after the match. He'd say his words, and he'd say, "Call," and then would be, and the lads loved it.
But that's what you remember, right? Sometimes it's not the games, it's not the trainings, but those are the moments that are sticking with you forever.
And I think, you know, at that time, so I remember the beginning of the season, we were trying to figure out some kind of video option. Okay, we're talking a team that had no money. We had no employees. Right, we were talking about bringing, what are those little cameras called?
GoPros?
GoPro.
Oh, GoPro. There you go.
Not even GoPro, like the old school little handheld.
Oh, little handheld video ones, yeah.
And we were like, let's bring those, because we were like, how can we do Hard Knocks, but with our team in 2011? Again, we don't have resources to do this. And then Manny one day comes in and he goes, "You guys are never gonna believe this." He's like, "I got a friend who works for a company, Damien, who works for Brave New Media. He wants to do a documentary on the team." And we're like, and Damien comes in the first day, 4 guys, big cameras, boom mics, and we're like, what is this? And brilliant. The fact that, like, that's another thing that I think was something that helped build the culture. It built the Wonderwall. They were there the first time we did it.
The first time that we caught this.
The first time that it caught us doing it. And so, like, there's basically a documentary on that season, which happened to be a championship season. I mean, that's awesome. It's
crazy.
I mean, so coming back to, like, we were the last team to get into the playoffs that year. So we went to North Carolina. We were playing against them. They won the league. They were collecting their trophy. And there's the video. We're in their locker room singing Wonderwall. Mm-hmm. That video, Damien and the guys at Brave New Media put out on the internet the next day, later that night. And then the fans are like, holy crap, like, this is a thing. Yeah. And so that's the original video. That's kind of when it got out that we were doing this. And then so to see now, like, an entire stadium, like, it's crazy.
So and it's interesting because my perspective was I used to hate that song because I never got a good result. So I used to have to hear it as I'm pissed off walking off the pitch because I always had to hear it. And I was like, oh, here we go again. We're in the Minnesota football stadium and we got to blast this damn song again. And you play you guys in the Cup and the League and we lose again. But my final question would be, wrapping this up, because I think we could probably talk all day, would be for 2 people who've been with the club and been in Minnesota for a while. If you were to sit down with the team and talk about just what it means to for the badge and for the fans, what would be something to get them to understand that it's not just, hopefully it's not just another stop in their career, that it's going to be something that's special. Because I bring a lot of players in the pod and I talk about how they love Minnesota. It's different from home. Yeah. People are so nice and stuff. But to talk about it from a club perspective, we'll start with you, Kevin. Why should they, why is Minnesota, why should it be that important to them, or why should it mean so much to put this badge on?
I think from what we're seeing now and how you guys are taking care of players, that's the difference. There were so many years, and Carl will back this, so many years that I played through that were down years, 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, uncertainty. There were so many years we didn't even know if we were going to have a team. And it was the point where I was always, by my 3rd year, I was the longest tenured player here. 3rd year, 4th year, all the way to 10. And what I hated was people would leave here and they would not say that they enjoyed their experience. Yeah. So when I got into a position of player and coach and working in the office, one of the things that we wanted to do to change was, like, we're going to do the best job we can to take care of the players. I don't care if a player leaves because he doesn't play or gets traded or, like, just decides he wants to go somewhere else. But when he leaves, I want him to say good things about Minnesota and about the club. And I think that's what's carried on. So I know you talked to Angie, right? And so like, she was a part of that. We're talking through those 10, 11, 12, 13. I mean, we were making, like, kit deals, right? At the end, where it's like, we're trading for kit deals. And I said, no, we need 3 sets of training gear. We just like the little things. So we're trying to take care of all the little details that we could, so to make the players feel like this is good. I may not have played, every player at some point leaves, right? And you hope that when they leave, they're like, but I still respect the club. I respect how they treated me. And it seems like now where the club is at with just the facilities and what they're doing, you hope that if you're a stopping point, great. You hope some of these guys marry a Minnesotan like I did and they get stuck
there you
here.
go.
And you're here for the rest of your life. But when they leave, the Wonderwall will always connect with them, the song and the fans. And you hope that you've left that imprint of the club. Mm-hmm. And I think, as you just, stopped your playing career, and as other people will, you'll look back at that and you'll say, like, what were the stops in my career? What did I enjoy? And like, if they say good things about your club, then the club has delivered, I think.
Yeah. And I can echo that, because I've spoken to Christian and Ike and Brent Coleman and, a lot of different players, and they speak so highly of the people and the coaches that they played under. And I think that sticks, because that's not always the case. We don't need to go down that road, but we always know that's not necessarily the case.
And with that, there's so many other legend guys that are coming through, older Thunder guys and Kicks guys, and they were all here. And so like, I got to meet these guys, and it wasn't always like, they're in the neighborhood, they're in town, they live in this community. You want those guys talking good about the club too. So now when people ask me, like, I'm not in the soccer world anymore, but when they find out that I'm connected to soccer, it's like, I have nothing but good things to say. Have you been to a game? It's great. Come to a game. Like, let's go experience it, because it's amazing. And so we're almost like indirect ambassadors for the club, because we're tied to the club because of our playing history. Yeah. And there's so many guys in the community. You want to leave that in good shape too.
Of course.
So you got to, I think, Kevin did so much, and it's who he is as a person. All the little stuff, he and Angie, just burning the candle at both ends to make the things right for the lads and for the football club. I think, as you just alluded to as well, it's testament to where we're from or where we are, that there's so many people who worked here and are still here. And I think the big thing is, this is our club. It's Minnesota's football club. And I didn't realize how far we are away from anything until I left a few years ago. I just thought, we're here. But even Chicago didn't seem like anything when you live here. But when you leave and think, bloody hell, I'm going back to Minnesota, it's the other end of the earth. So we are somewhat of an island. But this football club is representing all of us. And it's the greatest, I think some of the greatest things that this state has to offer is represented within this football club. The diversity, the striving to make things happen, the camaraderie, the community, all of those types of things, I think, speak to Minnesota United. That's why it's special. And that's why people should come and experience it if they haven't already. Again, we're not just here because of our jobs. We're here because we love it and we love the community. Again, just to repeat myself, this football club represents that.
Well, first, snaps. That was awesome. I appreciate you guys giving your insights, and thank you, because I work here now, and I wouldn't be here if it wasn't the foundation you guys laid. So thank you so much. And I know my teammates echo that sentiment and appreciate seeing the history of the club in front of them, right? Because it doesn't always happen where you see the players and the people that laid that foundation come out and say hi, shake your hand, have a good conversation. So again, thank you guys so much. We could be here all day, but we'll cut it this short. But again, thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Carl, for coming on this week's episode of Sound of the Loons podcast, brought to you by Line of Health. See, we got a Line of Health. We got great sponsors now. But again, thank you so much. And I can't wait to see what the game brings tomorrow. Hopefully we get a win. And then we have a nice little ceremony and honor you guys just like you should be.
Maybe we'll sing Please at the end.
Yeah, hopefully. That'd be great. We can get you on the money. Take care. Thank you, guys.